right. Well, welcome to the webinar for accessible mapping. The Accessibility Working Group is trying to put this together, worked hard on some different things. We really want to welcome and thank London Walker for giving the presentation. We're going to turn it over to her, and she's going to present slides, and then we'll have some time, hopefully, for Q&A afterwards. So with that, it's all yours, London.
Awesome, thanks, Mark. All right, yeah, so I am London Walker. I'm a GIS developer at the State of Colorado's Office of Information Technology. So just as an agenda, there's recently a new accessibility law that was announced, so we're gonna go over that. Some challenges that come with mapping accessibility, elements of making accessible maps, and then some equally effective alternates, tools and tips, where to begin, and vendor management. All right, so starting out with the law, announced earlier this year is Title II of the Americans with Disability Act, or ADA. This law holds state and local governments to WCAG, or the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, version 2.1, level AA. This won't be enacted until 2026 for larger entities and 2027 for smaller ones, but there is no better time to start accessible mapping than now. Along with this, 16 states have their own accessibility laws. We'll be walking through how to make maps compliant with WCAG 2.1 AA. And at the bottom of the slide, I have a snippet from the ADA's page about how non-accessible web content can create barriers for people with disabilities. There are 61 million adults in the US with at least one disability. You are losing that much of your audience by not making accessible products. Okay, so maps are not inherently accessible. Let's walk through some of the accessibility issues that generally need to be addressed in mapping. First up, you cannot navigate around by keyboard. In most applications, you can use the tab key to move around the interactive elements. In most maps, you can zoom in and out and have some basic navigation, but you can't use the keyboard to click a feature or do other processing. Next, maps are almost impossible to make compliant with color contrast requirements. Especially with base maps, it can feel difficult to accommodate all the colors. And a bit similar to before, but navigation is difficult, so screen readers won't read the different features or extent of the map and are not helpful in maps. Alt text can be used for this, but some platforms still don't have that capability. And lastly, if you do have alt text, it may not be sufficient. If you have a web map, every time the layers change, the map changes, which means that alt text is no longer accurate. These are only a few of the issues you may encounter when creating an accessible map. Now let's talk about how we can account for these when creating accessible maps. Starting with color, there must be a 3:1 contrast for graphics and text over 18 point. Contrast must be 4.5 to 1 for text under 18 point. Looking at the maps on the right, there is two maps over here. The one to the left shows two different layers, and there is a layer on the bottom, and it has a light red fill with a darker red outline. And there's a layer on top of it that has a dark red fill and matches the outline of the underlying layer. So you can tell which ones are different, but it might be difficult for some users to tell the difference between the layers. To the right of that is another map, and that map has the same features, same layers, and the bottom layer still has the light red fill and a dark red outline, but the layer on top has a dark black outline. So now you can easily see the difference between the layers. Color should also not be the only communication method. Include patterns, labels, and shapes. We'll go over an example of why this is important. This is a map of air quality monitoring sites in San Antonio, Texas. Each color of a point represents a range of values of the air quality index. Green is valued 0 to 50, and maroon is valued 301 to 5,000. Meets the contrast requirements, so we should be good to go, right? Very wrong. If we put that in a color vision deficiency simulator, where it's now grayscale, it's a lot harder to tell which point is which. The 0 to 50 range and no data look very similar. While it still may be possible, it's far more difficult to read this map, and we may use a user because of it. One way to fix it is by adding a label to each point. Now each point reads the air quality index for that site. There's no need to refer back to the legend or try to guess the color. Moving on to typography, use simple fonts, that means no serifs. On the left, I have two images. There is one on the very left, and it's a good font. It uses Arial. That says Pikes Peak, no serifs, very easy to read. Just to the right of that is another one, also says Pikes Peak, but it's in cursive. This is more difficult for people to read. It could be hard for people who are just learning English to read as well, so keep your fonts simple. Bold only important text, underline hyperlinks only, italicize water feature, and other good cartography, typography practices. Make text 12 point at a minimum. In maps, use a 1.5 line height. Use mixed case. Screen readers may read all caps as individual letters, and you don't want to stick your audience with that. So mixed case means not all caps. Yes, I see someone has a hand raised, or do we wait till then?
Totally up to you. If you're cool with answering questions during.
You can pass out if you want, Ashley.
I'm so sorry. That was my mistake.
No worries.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is cartography. So make sure you're using symbols and colors that are already associated with features in the real world. So on the bottom of the screen is a map of Pueblo, Colorado, and I came across this map and I thought it was pretty alarming that the water is red. And everything else looks normal except that. So this could be confusing for somebody. It was very confusing for me. So make sure that you're keeping your features associated with the real world, and keeping your water blue and not red. Another way to help with cartography is by providing a variety of base maps. If you have that capability, it lets your users be able to see a feature they may not be able to see with your default base map, or pick one that is easier for them. Text should be written at an 8th grade level. Essentially, keep your sentences simple, use everyday language, and don't write long sentences. Don't include slang or metaphors. Make your field names and layer names clear and understandable. Don't include layer names like test underscore layer 1. Spell out acronyms at least once on your page, map, or data. If your acronym is being used internally, it makes more sense to leave it as an acronym because everyone knows what it is. It's okay to leave it. So if you have like acronym USA, probably okay to leave that. And on the bottom of the screen, I have two pictures of pop-up. The one on the left is a bad pop-up, or maybe just not as good. It says Pike National Forest, check with NPS for hours, HRS, and other info. The one on the right says Pike National Forest, check with the National Park Service. So it has the name spelled out for people that might not know what NPS is, for hours and other information. So it spells out the words that I had previously shortened. Writing alt text can be a slightly complicated process. Ask yourself a few questions whenever you write alt text. What do you see? What is the purpose of the map? You want to write a concise alt text, but also get your point across. I find myself writing a long description for mini maps since they can get more complicated. Let's do a quick exercise for this map on the right titled Colorado Enterprise Zones. What do we see? Well, you can see the colorful enterprise zones with a hatched white pattern overlaying them, representing enhanced zones. We see the counties and their labels, all covering the extent of Colorado. Now let's narrow this down a bit and discuss what our purpose is. We want people to see where enterprise zones are in Colorado. We don't care about counties too much. One good example of alt text could be map of enterprise zones and enhanced zones in Colorado. It answers our questions and is concise. But if we wanted to get into the interpretation of the map by explaining patterns, we can add more information in our long description. This new one reads, enterprise zones cover most of the state with exceptions near Denver and the western slope. Now both of these together create a good visual. Free flow is another big requirement that often gets overlooked. All your material should be usable at 400% zoom without the need for two-dimensional scrolling, and should make sense. We had this app that when zoomed into 400%, you would lose access to the table. I have a picture of it on the left. You can see the table is fine on the left picture, and then on the right, the table is completely gone, and you can only see the headings. One of my coworkers, we built this in Experience Builder, and now it works great at 400%. And a lot of people ask me how to make apps in Esri's Experience Builder at 400%, and I found a really good tutorial that they made for that I included. It's the same as your mobile layout. All right, so navigation is more for web apps and maps than it is for PDF maps. You need to test every single website, app, and map with the No Mouse challenge, which is where you use a keyboard to navigate the entire application. Every interactive component, unless it's disabled, should be reachable by keyboard, including maps. You should be able to get to the map. Make sure there are no traps. So if a user opens a modal or a window, they can press the escape button and get out. All user inputs should be bigger than 24 by 24 pixels like buttons. And these next two are for WCAG 2.2, but it is also important to include that. I just like having them in there because one day we're going to move to WCAG 2.2 anyway. And then when you navigate around an app with keyboard shortcuts, you'll notice a focus indicator on the elements you're currently on. Focus indicator should be visible and pass the 3:1 contrast check. That again is WCAG 2.2. And at the bottom of the slide, I have two pictures. The one on the left is a magnifying glass button, and it has a black outline around it. And it's partially covered, but you can see about half of it, and that passes because it passes the contrast check and it's not completely invisible. And then the one on the right is a green information button, and it has a black outline that's maybe like just a little bit away from the button, so it passes the contrast check against the button and against the background. And then lastly, a key component for making maps accessible is including a table of the data or a way to access the map data without a mouse. This could be like, we use a lot of near me tools where somebody can type in an address and then get the data that's around them, and they don't have to actually click into the map. It's the same information. Now for tools, use automated accessibility checkers like Site Improve to give you an idea of what to fix. I've put together a list of just some of my favorite automated accessibility checkers. Like I use Site Improve, Wave, Lighthouse, and AxDev tools. And I have some tools for other parts of accessibility too, so like checking your color, checking contrast, some accessible face maps, and screen readers. And everything in here is free except for JAWS. And then you can use automated accessibility checkers, but you also have to check everything manually. Automated checkers miss a lot, and nothing is better than having somebody manually check it. And automated checkers do not do well with mapping products at all. So I mostly use the automated checkers for if I have an app, checking the app side of things instead of the map. One resource that I've put together is just a checklist of, and I can send the link to this presentation also, but it's just a checklist of all the things in WCAG and how to apply them to mapping. So what I've gone over today, and I put it in checklist format. So every time I make a map, I can come and look at this and go through it. But there are many other checklists. So I'm sure you could find one that works for you, or you could make your own. And then the easiest way to make a product accessible is to incorporate accessibility from the beginning. It's faster, cheaper, and easier than remediation. And as much as you try to make your product accessible, you're still going to miss something or someone. There are several ways you can provide help in these situations. The most important is having an equally effective alternative access plan, or EEAAP. An EEAAP outlines how you will respond to accessibility requests. For example, if you provide a map of parcels with a fancy tool to select parcels, someone who uses assistive technology may not be able to use the select tool. Once they contact you and let you know of the barrier, you could run the tool for them and provide the results in a spreadsheet. I've created some example EEAPs for Esri products we use. The organizations hopefully will provide them when the time comes with their own template, but you're more than welcome to look at the ones that I've created samples for. And I've linked them in this slide to the examples. In order for people to request these alternates, then you should also include your organization's accessibility statement and or 2 forms of contact. And one of the forms of contacts should be not web related, like a phone number or a physical address. A few other alternate solutions are providing the text version of a survey. Some people may have barriers with date questions or rating questions, so this is a good alternate. Also, a PDF version of a chart, offering interpretation of the map or selected data, or creating a user guide. So on the right of the slide, I have a map of Washington Park in Denver. And the purpose of the map is to let people know what facilities the park has, the general layout of it, where it is. And this is great, but some people may not be able to see the map or be able to understand the interpretations. So you can create a user guide for your map. And what we've done in this one is we've listed out all the data sources that we have. So we have like Denver parks, water bodies, so people know what's in the map. And then we go into more detail. So where the data is displayed in the map. So we have a ponds and a lakes layer, and it has the name of the pond and then the location in the park. So it's in the northeast corner. Now we have sports courts, surrounding roads, paved roads, and unpaved roads. This way, if somebody can't see the map, they can come to this text version and say, I want to do a trail, and then they could know, or a hike, and then they could see which hikes are available in the park, how long it is, and where it's at. Frequently creating an accessible map needs to start with the basics. I ask myself these questions every time I make a new product or revisit an old one. What am I trying to achieve with this product? Make sure you're not overcomplicating it and stay true to your purpose. Can my product be understood in 5 seconds? If your product is too complicated to understand the general purpose in 5 seconds, it's probably too complicated for your users. Who is the audience? If you're making an app for the Institute of the Blind, make sure you have alt text. What barriers could users have when using my product? This one is usually more helpful to have someone else test, at least for me. So now that we've gone through all of this, where do you start? First, make a list of everything that you own or manage. Do you still need it, and is it useful? Next, define what accessibility is to your organization and what you need to do. As a developer, I went through our website and learned what I needed to do to align with our organization. Lastly, start updating. After I learned what I needed to do, I started to go through our website and fix our issues. It's not always as straightforward as this, and you may have some more or less work to do, but you can adjust these to work for you. Another extremely important aspect to consider is vendor management. There can be a strong disconnect when it comes to accessibility. If you are in the government and working with a vendor, start with these steps to create accessible products. Make sure your vendor is aware of your organization's accessibility standards. If you notice that something isn't accessible in their product or software, request an accessibility enhancement or submit a ticket for the vendor to fix it. Lastly, ask for resources on making accessible products in their platform. And also note all vendor communication that you have regarding accessibility. And now for the other side, vendors need to make sure that they understand their customers' accessibility requirements. So get to know what the standards are and deadlines. And then if they have an accessibility lead or somebody who will be checking the accessibility, make sure you know that so you can get any of their corrections or any questions for their specific standards. Learn how to provide accessible products and enable your customers to do the same. And then, how accessible is your software? Consider a roadmap to improve accessibility. And I have included some of my favorite resources and just our resources. We have a page with some training that we've done in the past, and then the guidelines that we have for Colorado mapping. Harvard has a lot of good accessibility help for general accessibility. The state of Minnesota, very well known for their mapping accessibility, so I suggest checking them out. And then the Department of the Interior has some really good videos over PDF maps, and then one for web mapping that I found. Esri has an accessibility hub, and they've started releasing a lot more articles recently, like the one that I linked earlier. And then there is also a NSGIC Accessibility Interest Group. I don't know if that's open, but I included it in here. And we also have the Working Accessibility Group as well. And just to end with a quote, inclusive design doesn't mean you're designing one thing for all people. You're designing a diversity of ways to participate so that everyone has a sense of belonging. And we have plenty of time for questions because they always go much faster than I think I will.
Thank you very much. That's excellent. We do have a question in the chat. Dennis is asking, are your tools based on the ADA requirements, or are there these simply Colorado's impressions of what should be included in GIS web apps for accessibility? And how do states measure or ensure ADA compliance?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the guidelines that I've made, I went through all of the CAG, and I basically for each component of the CAG decided what that was for mapping. And I had our accessibility people use it. So I don't know. I mean, the best source to check is definitely WCAG itself. I just tried to make it easier to interpret for mapping. And then how do states measure? How do states measure and or ensure ADA compliance? At least for our state, for Colorado, they use Site Improve, and then we just started the law. Well, it actually gets enacted on July 1st. So I'm not totally sure how people are measuring, but if anybody else has an answer to how their state is measuring compliance.
Okay, do we have any other ones? Megan Compton is, what is the recommendation for how frequently compliance rules should be checked? For updates, changes.
By compliance rules, you mean like WCAG 2.2 versus 2.1?
And somebody else is saying, please define WCAG again. Yeah.
Yeah, so WCAG, WCAG is what I call it, is the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. So they are what ADA is setting as their standards for what accessible web content is. So they have different, it's called the POUR principles. So it's like perceivable, and I don't remember what the other ones are. And they go through a lot of different parts of web accessibility, like alt text, and then how to meet that requirement. Yes,
Going back to Megan's question, I think for us in Illinois, it's kind of a once a year kind of thing to just make sure nothing's changed. And then nothing has changed within like your own state. So How often are the WCAG rules or ADA rules reviewed? That would be from them. I wouldn't, how often do they go through that? Do they go through that on a yearly basis or?
No, it's much longer than that.
Okay.
It took years to get WCAG 2.2, and that was just done this year. So I think that it'll probably take at least a few years after 2.1 is official in ADA in order to switch to 2.2. So it really just depends on how long it takes them, but it won't be immediate.
So you have lots of time to get caught up. Oh, good. Another question. You mentioned using Experience Builder to address some Zoom-related accessibility concerns, but last time they checked, it doesn't have the ability to set a heading structure. Were you able to address that?
Yeah, that's true. It does not have the ability to set a heading structure, which I found unfortunate, and I submitted as a accessibility enhancement request. So, but we just use it anyway, and that's where the EEAAPs, the Equally Effective Alternative Access Plan, comes in handy. If somebody isn't able to navigate by screen reader, then you can provide them with the information that they need.
Any other questions? And you guys, you're free to come off mute. I mean, you don't have to type them into the chat and I'll read them.
I maybe have a follow-up question. I'm curious, when I was reading the rule from the DOJ, I noticed that they were kind of discouraging the use of conforming alternatives. And like, if they, not a lawyer, but my interpretation of it was that they were kind of like, do it, like, if there's no way technologically to like provide something that works, but like maybe try not to if there is a way to make things work. And I was just curious whether you've had, I know you mentioned like submitting a request or an enhancement request to Esri, but like whether you've had any conversations with them, because like it varies product to product, but it feels like there are some products that I think you can get like pretty close in. Like I've had pretty good luck with instant apps, but there are a number of products that I've really struggled with to like meet the vast majority of the guidelines. And I was just wondering if you had any conversations with them about it.
I talked to them a little bit at the Dev Summit, and I know that they have an accessibility roadmap, and they just haven't shared it, but they also have products that are more accessible than others. Like I think Instant Apps is one of their most accessible ones, and there are definitely some that I've had trouble with, but that's the thing with mapping, is that the technology that is the most accessible is still not very accessible, which is why we do have to provide those alternates. But like with instant apps, you almost don't need one for some of them because those work really well. But unfortunately, the technology does not exist for a lot of mapping apps to be fully accessible. I don't know if that helped answer.
Yeah, no, that's helpful. Thank you.
Okay, other questions for London? Okay, question from us, the Accessibility Working Group, to you. Are there any other types of talks that you are interested in hearing? One of the thoughts that I've had is to have Esri come on and give some stuff about what they're doing. As London said, there is a roadmap there. It might be nice to see what that roadmap entails and what it looks like. thoughts on any of that? Okay, there's one for that would be great. Okay. And anybody else, anything else that you'd like to hear about that we could work on? Local agency that works with the blind, they have asked about raised lettering maps. Yes, we saw that at the Esri conference last year. There was a paper map. It was an ink that was used that actually, after the ink dried, it raised up or whatever, which was really cool, John. But I don't know if anybody else has used anything internally to make a raised letter map. But we can look into that, obviously. App-specific guidance would be helpful. Okay. And you, in response to that, are you speaking to Esri or apps in general, other vendors too?
I think Esri would potentially be the most helpful for me personally, but it also might be helpful because I know web maps get included in a variety of websites. So like whether embedding changes things could also be helpful.
Okay. Excellent. Megan, yeah, I'm curious to see if OGC even has anything. I hope they do. We can look into that. I got several likes on that, so that's good. There are not any specific webinars planned, but yes, we can plan to continue doing things every so often and having talks at the NSGIC conferences. Emily, are we going to collect the chat also, please?
Yes, that gets captured along with the recording, so no problem. And yeah, I see Ariel's question of, do you need to be a NSGIC member to participate in the interest group? My brain just went blank. Sorry, that's not very helpful. I think on my.NSGIC, I don't think you have to be a member to like post in the forums and stuff. But I believe to be like, you know, co-chair / like steering group member, I think you do need to be a NSGIC member, but at the very least, like joining the community should be open to everybody. And I'm looking at that right now to make sure that I'm not a big liar.
Yeah, I would hope that that is the case. I would like people to be able to operate in the community without having to necessarily join NSGIC. That can be a heavy lift.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so basically you just have to have a NSGIC account to be able to join the community. And if you have registered for this webinar and you are here, you probably have a NSGIC account, you know, because you got like the email and stuff. So yeah, it's all good. I will see if I can drop the link to the community. And if you have any issues joining or anything like that, just get in touch with me and I'll include my email address in the chat so I can help you out. And I see Paul has a hand up.
Sure thing. Yeah. Hey, quick question. Maybe I'm just learning more about accessibility, specifically the WCAG versus the ADA standards. And I don't know, based on what I can tell, and I'm just looking for clarification here, is that the WCAG is just like a reference or guidelines that you can use to be ADA compliant? Is that right? Or does anybody know the relationship between the ADA and the WCAG?
Yeah, so ADA is the Americans Accessibility or Disability Act, And they are saying that you need to use WCAG in order to be compliant with ADA. So that's what they're choosing as the standards.
Okay, cool. Fantastic. Clears it up. Thank you.
Okay. Any last questions before we give you some of your day back? All right. Well, thank you, London. We greatly appreciate it. Wonderful talk. And we will continue to work through some things, and hopefully you'll see some more webinars and things coming in the future. So thanks, everybody.